Okay, pretty good assignment. Well, not a good assignment, but it's important going forward. I want to do a couple review problems with y equals mx plus b. So grab the equation. The y is by itself. That's good. So you already have your mx plus b. So again, we want to use the slope and the y-intercept to graph the equation. So the slope is -3 over 1. And plus 2 is your y-intercept. So on the y-axis, we go 1, 2. And from there, since the top's negative, we go down and we go 1 to the right. So that's from this point, 1, 2, 3, 1. Okay. So I take, and I'll do it again. I'll do it a second time. 1, 2, 3, 1. Okay, so I'm going to pick a point. I'll pick this point. So on the x-axis, we are 1, 2. On the y-axis, we're -1, -2, -3, -4. So 2, -4 is one of the many solutions on the line. Okay, write the equation of the line. Now the line's there, you write the equation. So we want the y equals blank, that's your m, x plus blank, that's your b. So we have to find our slope of the line and our y-intercept of the line. Slope's m, y-intercept's b. Okay, so I find where the line crosses the y-axis, should be right there. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5, positive 5 is your b. Now remember what a slope is. It's rise over run. Okay, so I need a second point. So right there, I always go to the right. So rise. Well, we have to go up 2, so 2 is your rise, positive 2, and then your run is 3. So y is equal to 2/3 x plus 5. Now we have 3 sections, so don't be working ahead on the assignment. Okay. This page is really easy, like elementary level easy. Write an equation in slope-intercept form with the given slope and y-intercept. So y equals blank x plus blank m b. Okay. M's the slope, b's, well, they tell me m and b, so it's -4/5 and 7. I got these out of the textbook. They seem rather pointless, but they're easy, so don't complain. Y equals -4/5 x plus 7. Okay. M is 5, B is -2, same stuff. Y equals blank x plus blank, so M, B. So M is 5, the B is -2. Now you can put 5 over 1, but if you have a 1, you kind of put it in the equation as just 5, and then -2. Okay, M equals -1/3, B equals 2 2/5. MB. So M -1/3 is your slope, and your y-intercept B, that's 2 2/5. Lay out the equation first, please, and go from there. Now the next section says, write the equation in slope-intercept form with the given slope and y-intercept. Okay. Now you don't have graph paper because I don't want you using a graph. So that means what they're saying here is that, here I'll lay out the equation. When it says write an equation, you lay out the y equals blank x plus blank equation, lay it out first, and your m and your b. Remember what m and b mean. M is the slope, b is the y-intercept. Here's what this means. It means 3, -5 is a point on line. You don't have graph paper, you don't need it. Just watch me illustrate this. 1, 2, 3, down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then having a slope of -2 would be down 2 over 1. And then, of course, we'd make a line. Now, what we don't see is where it crosses the y-axis, and that's what we'll need to figure out on this section. Now, the slope is given to me. That's your m, so that's going to be -2. Now, what we need to really find, actually do some work with, is to find the y-intercept. Now, what you do is you write out, it's on the board. If you don't know b, you're going to write the equation y equals m times x plus b. Then we will need to solve for b, so I cross out the y, the m, and the x. Now my m is my slope, that's going to be -2. Now the y and x are replaced with this coordinate point, because that's a solution of the line, okay? So -5 is going to replace the y, and then 3 is going to replace the x. So we line up our equals and we put -5 down. Now I'm going to write my b first and then the plus after the b. Now to find what you're plussing to the b, you need to find what -2 times 3 is, which is -6. Then I get b by itself by adding 6 to both sides. So 1 is equal to b. Now, that's your answer. If you want to check your answer, you can punch in -2, then hit the times button. Then for x, instead of putting x, you're going to put 3 in, and then you're going to add 1. When you click equals, you should get the y value, -5, because you're doing an input of 3, and so the output should be -5, which it is. Okay. Next problem, slope equals -2/3 through 9, -4. It's the same concept of what we just did. So I lay out my equation, y equals blank x plus blank mb. This is your answer. B is not the answer to the problem. B is part of the answer. This is my answer I'm going to be checking. If you don't write that out, it's wrong. Okay. Now m is your slope. Well, we have the m. Slope is m, so it's -2/3. Now to find b, the y-intercept, remember m means slope, which they told me, b means the y-intercept. So y equals m times x plus b. So my m is -2/3. Now, -4 is your y, 9 is your x, so you put times 9 after the -2/3. So you line up your equals, you put your -4, then you put the b before the plus, and I go -2/3 times 9, and I get -6. Then I need to add 6 to both sides. So -4 plus 6 is 2. 2 is not my answer. My answer is this whole equation right there. I need to see that. So to check your answer, you go -2abc 3 times, do an input of 9 for the x, and then plus 2. When I click equals, I should get -4, which I did. Okay. Next one, slope equals 4 through 3 -2. Okay, so remember, slope is your m. So y equals blank x plus blank mb. Okay, so m is the slope and b is the y-intercept. Okay, so 4 is your slope. Now we don't know the y-intercept. Guys, it's not -2. If you go right 3 down 2, that is not crossing the y-axis. Okay, so don't be doing that. So to find b, we write y equals m times x plus b. And we look into our equation, we see we have a slope of 4. -2 replaces your y, and then 3 replaces the x. So line up your equals, b plus, and then 4 times 3 is 12. So then I minus 12 from both sides. -2 minus 12 is -14 equals b. Now somebody's going to ask me, do we need to put the 4 over the 1 right there? No, not when I'm writing the equation out for it. We don't. So I go 4. If I had to graph it, I'd do 4 over 1, but I don't have to graph it. 4 times, let's do an input of 3 plus -14. I should be at -2. Okay, now for the final part. And again, I'll emphasize, this is your answer. Negative 14 is not your answer. Your answer is y equals 4x plus negative 14. Okay, now the last part, you might want to dig out your multiplication table. I'm going to get one from the front. Okay, sorry about the delay. Write an equation that passes through the 2 points, okay? Means we have 2 points, 2, 1, and 5, negative 8. Those are x, y coordinate points. So y equals blank x plus blank. I need to find the m and the b. M is our slope, b is our y-intercept. Now, what this means, 2, 1, so write 2 up 1, 5, negative 8, write 5, down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, I don't know either one on this. All they gave me is 2 points. Now, if I had a graph, I could just do the rise-run ratio, but unfortunately, I don't, okay? You don't have a graph. I mean, I got one back here, but I don't, that's not how I want you to do it, okay? Okay. All right, so anyway, we don't know our slope. When we need to find the slope, look up on the board, we use y minus y, x minus x, okay? And I'm going to set this up over here so I got workspace and everybody can see what I'm doing. You want to start in front of the minuses with the coordinate point that has the higher x. So 2 and 5, I think it's pretty obvious we need to put that one in first. So I put negative 8 over 5 in front of the minuses. Then I put 1 and 2 after the minuses. Now negative 8 minus 1, okay? If you're on a number line, you're at negative 8 and you go 1 to the left, you're going to be at negative 9. Then if you're at 5 and you go 2 to the left, you're at 4, 3. Now, divide that, okay? Divide it. When you have to write an equation, you want to divide it. No decimals, though. I didn't get a decimal, I got negative 3, okay? So negative 3 is your m. Now to find b, you're going to do the same thing. Y equals m times x plus b. Okay, so the m we have is negative 3, and then the y and the x, you can pick either point. I'm going to use the second one every time. You can also use the first one and you will get the exact same answer. So I'm going to put, it doesn't matter which one you use. So if you're going to use negative 8 for y, you have to use its partner 5 for x. You can't use negative 8 and then come over here and use 2. Okay, line up your equals, negative 8, b plus, and then negative 3 times 5 is negative 15. Then I add 15 to each side, and that's 7. 7 equals b. Now, if you want to check your answer, you can check it twice now. Negative 3 times, I'll do a 2 as my input for x and hit plus 7. I better get 1 as my output, and I did. I could also go negative 3 times, use 5 as my input, plus 7, and the output's negative 8. Okay, so I did that right. I just proved it. Okay. All right, through negative 3, 4, and 2, negative 1. So y equals blank x plus blank m b. M is the slope, b is the y-intercept. So they don't tell me what the slope is here. On the first 2 sections they did, but now they don't. So y minus y, x minus x. Now you can't muck this up, okay? Okay, so I compare my x's, negative 3 and 2. That's a higher x, so I put negative 1 over 2, and then 4 over negative 3. Now on top, if you're at -1, -4 means you go 4 units to the left on your number line. So it'd be -2, -3, -4, -5. Now here we would start at +2, but when I'm minusing a negative number, that actually goes to the right because that's actually adding, okay? So again, minusing and then a negative is actually adding, so you go 2 and then 3 to the right, so 3, 4, 5. Now you divide that, and you get -1. -1 is your M. Now your B, y equals M times X plus B. So my M is -1. And then you can use either point. I'll use -1, 2 times 2. Oh, the 2 -1, so -1. And then B plus, then I take -1 times 2, that's -2. Then I add 2 to each side, and -1 plus 2 is +1. Okay, now if you want to check that answer, you can go -1 times, do an input of -3. And then you need to add the 1. Output should be 4. -1 times 2 plus 1. Output should be -1. It is. Okay. Last problem, 3 -2 and 1 -3. So xy, xy. So again, all these problems you are writing the equation. You lay out the equation with M as the slope, B is the y-intercept. Again, they don't give me the slope or the y-intercept on these. So to find the slope, when we need to find it, it's y minus y, x minus x. Okay, well, 3 and 1. Okay, 3 and 1. I think 3 is the higher one. So -2 over 3. Now, then after the minuses, I put -3 over 1. Remember, the y's need to be on top. It's y minus y. Okay? Y, x, y, x. Now, let's look at this one here. -2 minus -3. Okay? Okay, so a -2, you'd start at -2. When you're minusing a negative, you're actually adding 3. So if you're at -2, you go 3 to the right, which would be -1, 0, +1. Now here, you can make it plus negative if you want, but I'm just going to leave it. If it's just minus a positive, I'm going to just do 3 minus 2. 3, 1 to the left is 2. Okay, 1 divided by 2. I'm going to second PRB that, so it's 1/2, okay? Now B, y equals M times X plus B. Okay, so my M value is 1/2, and then I'll use this one, -3 for Y, and then times 1 for X. So B plus, all right, so 1/2 times 1, 1/2, okay? Then I subtract 1/2 from each side. And -3 minus 1/2 is -3 and 1/2. Now that can be a mixed number because that's your B, okay? And there's your answer.